Welcome to Have You Heard with Contrell Alford. I'm Contrell Alford, and I'm excited to have you guys here today. This is going to be a good one. Have you heard? Donald Trump was just elected President of the United States. Donald J. Trump defeated Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election, making him the 47th President of the United States of America. How? How is that possible? How is it that a man with 34 felony convictions, a man who owes more than $500 million in civil liabilities, of which 91.6 million belongs to E. Jean Carroll for a sexual abuse case, a man who was the former president of the United States from 2016 to 2020, and who was impeached by the House not once, but twice. How does one man overcome all of those odds and still be elected president of the United States? I have those answers. How does a man like Donald Trump become president? Here's how. Donald Trump completely changed the mindsets of what people believe a politician in America should be. Donald Trump is not the traditional politician. Let's be clear. I think we all know that. The things that Donald Trump says and does is not typical for any politician, especially the president of the United States. It's just unheard of for any politician to do or say the things that Donald Trump says. let's take this for example. We all know, we all believe there's no one in America that doesn't believe that Kamala Harris is a black woman. We may joke and laugh and say, yeah, she's her mother's an Indian woman. She's from an Indian descent. Yes, that may be true, but her father is black. So this is a black woman. We all know Kamala Harris is a black woman. She grew up in the average middle class, went to public schools, no private schools. Once she graduated high school, she went on to attend one of the HBCUs in America, joining a sorority. Yes, she's a sorority sister. This is a black woman. But only Donald Trump can get away with challenging her black card. And I love it. I love it. And I don't want to hear, oh, because he's a racist. He's a racist. He's a racist. No. Let's break this down for a second. Kamala Harris uses her Indian descent when she needs votes. She uses her black card when she needs black votes. That's it. And Donald Trump wasn't afraid to call her out on it. A simple Google search will pull up a video of Kamala Harris saying that she's an Indian woman. She was the first ever Indian woman elected into the Senate. Wait a minute. So when you ran for Senate, you're an Indian woman. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. That's okay. But don't be a black woman when you're running for president of the United States. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be an Indian woman and be the first Indian woman elected to the Senate, but try to be the first black woman to be president of the United States. Don't do that. No, 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 no. Over and over, time and time again, the Democratic Party always does this. They use race to try to get the black vote. And I'm tired of it. Black men is tired of it. The fact that Donald Trump received 25% of black men in this election says something. We're done. We're done. Let me give you a little history. Lyndon B. Johnson said it best. I'm going to have the Negro population voting Democrat for the next 100 years. And still in 2024, my fellow Black Americans are still doing exactly what he said he would have you doing. And don't get me wrong, there was some great policies, there were some great issues that the Democratic Party used to stand on. Let's be clear. I am not a black man who's part of the elite. I'm an average Joe, an average black man in America. I grew up in a single family household. My father has been in prison majority of my life. He's currently serving time right now. I was raised by a single mother, then moved and was raised by my aunt for a few years. Then I moved out of that situation and left her home and went to my grandmother's home. I know what it feels like to live in poverty. I know what it's like to be black in America. So when I say I'm someone that truly understands and knows what it feels like to essentially be used, I get it. I get it. Majority of my family are still voting for Democrats. They're still voting for them. It makes absolutely no sense to me. The Democratic Party has failed. They lost all of their core values. Everything that they believed in is gone. It's gone. You know, when you have one of the most liberal senators, Bernie Sanders, someone who I truly believe there's no one in the Senate more liberal than Bernie. No one. The fact that he stated and said the Democrat Party has abandoned the working class Americans. And that's the reason why 25% of black men and the Latino votes voted for Donald Trump in the 2024 election. Don't take my word for it. You have one of your own saying it. One of your own. And don't talk to me about race. Don't tell me, well, you voted for a racist. I'm so tired of hearing that. You voted for a racist. You voted for a racist. Donald Trump is a bigot. Donald Trump is compared to Hitler. Democracy is over with. You voted to end democracy. Let's tackle those topics and those issues for a second. Donald Trump is a racist. He's a racist for calling out Kamala Harris for using her blackness to gain black votes. No, he's a realist. Because she should have been called out. Don't use your blackness to try to gain votes. Don't you do it. Our ancestors have struggled and went through enough. Don't you ever try to use your color to try to gain votes from the black community. Don't you do it. Because you didn't use your color when you were running for Senate and you was the first Indian woman to be elected senator. You didn't use it then, did you? But so don't try to use it now when you're running for president of the United States. Donald Trump is a racist. Why? Because he's representing the Republican Party now? Because in the 90s, when he's taking pictures with Muhammad Ali, Reverend Jackson, Don King, he wasn't a racist. When Jesse Jackson essentially announced he was running for president and Donald Trump endorsed him, he wasn't a racist. When Donald Trump dated a black supermodel, he wasn't a racist. But in 2016, when he decided to run for president, he became a racist. No. He didn't become a racist because you believe he's a racist. He became a racist because the Democratic Party has told you over and over and over again that he's a racist. You have heard over and over again how bad and how racist Donald Trump is. So you start believing it. That is not the case. Stop. Stop. Donald Trump is not a racist. Donald Trump wasn't a racist when the NAACP awarded him an award. Was he a racist then? Yes. He received an award from the NAACP. He wasn't a racist then. Why now? Donald Trump was never a racist. You guys allowed the Democrat Party to feed you nonsense, to feed you BS. Now let's break this down a little bit further. Okay? Let's break this down a little bit further. Why didn't Kamala Harris win the election? Because let me be clear. This was truly an historical election. It was truly a historical election. I felt that part of me felt at the beginning that Kamala Harris could have taken this thing. I haven't felt that way since 2008 when Barack Obama was running for president, who I happened to vote for in 2008 as well as 2012. So you speaking to someone who voted for hope and voted for change. And I felt that with Kamala Harris at the beginning. I felt it. Here's where she lost me. And I believe she lost millions of Americans. Their platform. Everything that they stood for and what they were running for. Number one, the abortion. Now, I know a lot of people may hate me right now. Okay. I know when you heard me say abortion, you were thinking, don't go there. Yes, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there. Abortions. I believe in women's rights to choose. I agree with you. Women should have their right to choose. I agree. No one should tell a woman who she can and should vote for. No one should tell a woman when she can or cannot have an abortion. No one. That's something that should be decided in her home, with her family, with her husband, with her doctor, with her faith, whoever she seems to pray to. That's her choice, her right. I'm a firm believer in that. But I also believe in democracy. I also believe that the fundamentals of what this great country stands for and takes pride in is democracy. What did Trump do? Trump single-handedly was responsible for overturning Roe versus Wade, who I believe was a flawed law to begin with. And so does the Supreme Court, who overturned Roe versus Wade. Because at the end of the day, Trump can't snap his fingers and say Roe versus Wade is done. It took the justices of the Supreme Court to overturn that law. And when they overturned the law, what did they do? They took it and put it back to the states. Why did they put it back to the states? Because each citizen of each state should have their voice and their right to essentially vote on what they feel is the best for them and their family and their law, and vote with their conscience. Let's look at Ohio, for example. When Roe versus Wade was overturned, my great governor, Mike DeWine, I'm a resident of Ohio, my great governor, Mike DeWine, decided to put it on a ballot. In the 2022 election, Ohioans decided by a landslide that in Ohio, women have the right to choose, not any government official. That's the law in Ohio now. And I love it. That means democracy works. The people decided, not any government agency, not one individual. The people voted and they decided that in Ohio, yes, women have the right to choose. Women have the right, no one else. And that's how it should be in every single state. The governors put it on the ballot and allow the people to decide. So don't talk about how Donald Trump is this evil man and how abortion should be the main issue. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. With the abortion issues going on, it just means democracy works. So that's the first issue that the Democrats ran on that I feel was flawed. The second issue that they ran on that, in my opinion, was bogus was the race issue. And I already kind of spoke about that earlier in the segment. Don't talk about race as you do every single year. Every year. Don't bring up race. Don't bring up race every election cycle. Don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. Like, I'm going to take this from my girl Candace Owens. She said it best. No one can tell me what it's like being black in America. I've been black in America my entire life. Don't tell me what it's like being black in America. You don't know what it's like being a minority in this country. So don't you ever tell me what it's like. Stop bringing up race. Yes, does racism exist? 100%. And the reason that the Democrat Party is bringing up race because they're trying to get the black vote. They want black people to think and realize that race is the reason why our communities are failing. They want black people to think and realize that race is a major component when it comes to the black community and the black home. Let's be clear. If I had to think of 5 to 10, 15, or even 20 issues that's affecting the black community, race wouldn't even be on that list. The number one issue affecting the black communities are father absence in the home. That's the number one issue. Number two issue that's affecting black community is the education system. Not race. Not the white man holding the black man back and I can't succeed because of the white man. That's not affecting our community. If more fathers stepped up, became men to their wives, to their family, to their children, raised their boys to be young men, to have core values, the black community will thrive again. Will thrive. And a lot of people, and you may have missed it, when Byron Donalds had an interview and he said that the black community was better during the Jim Crow time. And a lot of people was so furious. This is a black man saying that we should go back to Jim Crow. The black community was better during Jim Crow when we were getting beat and segregation and going back to the old time with Jim Crow. The black community was great. It was great. That's not what he said. That's not what he said. What Byron Donalds meant, and I happen to agree with him, during that era, the black community was stronger than ever. Why was they strong? Because you had a husband and a wife raising the children as a family. You had grandma and grandpa, Nana, Big Ma, helping raise those children. You had the community, you had the neighbors, you had the aunties, the uncles, you had everyone coming together to raise, mold, shape, educate, and keep the black family together. Look at the marriage rates during that time with black families and look at the marriage rates today. It's no comparison. No comparison. The absence of fathers in the home is affecting the black community more than anyone, more than any other topic or any other issues that I can think of. That's the number one issue affecting black America. And if you remember earlier in this segment, I said it before. My father was never in a home. And that's a cycle that I am breaking with my family today. That ends in my family. My boys will know what it's like to have a man in a home. Just like they will continue on and their children, my grandchildren, will know what it's like to have a black man in a home. A black woman is powerful. I'm with you. They are powerful. But don't be naive. They can't raise black men. They can't. We need a strong black woman to succeed, or any woman in that nature. You know? So don't let me backtrack a little bit. I don't want, black people or white people to feel offended. I don't care if you're black and you're a black man and like white women, or you're a white woman and you like black men. I'm speaking to the black community right now. Your time will come. I'm with you. Your time will come. Because I don't care whether you like the opposite sex or whether or not you like the opposite race. That is not my issue. And that's not what I'm discussing. So please don't twist my words around. Please don't twist my words around. Sometimes you need to speak to the black community. And this is a message to the black community. We need to go back to the times when family and core values matter. That's what affects the black community. The third issue that Kamala Harris failed at miserably, and the Democratic Party failed at, was these transgender LGBTQ rights. This issue that affects a small portion of America that they made a major component. Which is funny the more and more I think about it, because why do you think majority of Americans feel as if we believe that this man who was born a man, who grew up as a teenage boy, who grew up and became a man, and then decided to become a woman, had a sex change, and wants to go into the women's bathroom. Do you think I care about that? No, I do not. I don't care either way. I don't care either way. Don't force your issues or your pronouns on me. He, she, they, him, her. Whatever you choose to do, that's okay. That's between you. You have your rights, just like we have our rights. You can do whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. I do not care. Either way, I have friends who are gay. I have family who are gay. And they know I love them and treat them the same exact way. Because that does not affect me. I do not care whatever you choose to do or whatever you choose to call yourself. That's okay. But don't force that on me. The fact that we have transgender biological males competing in women's sports. What? When? In what world is that okay? What world is that okay? That's not okay. That is not okay. She wanted us to have those small issues rise to a bigger issue than what the economy and inflation is and the border. When it comes to the economy and inflation, when it comes to whether or not I can put food in my refrigerator or put food on my table to feed my families, do you think I care whether or not someone is able to go into the women's bathroom? My first priority, my only priority, is the well-being of my family. And that's the reason why millions of Americans decided not to vote for Kamala Harris. When I have to decide whether or not to pay my water bill or my light bill this month, when I want access to the American dream and buy a home, but I no longer qualify because the home interest rates are crazy. When prices continue to go up every time I go into the grocery store, I have to decide on whether or not I'm going to get eggs or milk or cereal for my children. Things have to change. Don't talk to me about how great the economy is, but I don't feel it. I don't feel how great the economy is. Don't talk to me about how great and how low and how black unemployment is at the record low. When I don't feel that in my black community. When I walk out and I see crime and on every single corner. Don't talk to me about what it is and how I should feel. Donald Trump stands for something that's completely outside the norm when it comes to politicians. And people like myself love it. What Donald Trump says he wants to stop are the things that we hate the most. He wants to stop the crime in all communities. We hate it. We hate it. You know, we had a Kentucky senator, and I cannot think of his name right now. And when he was running for re-election, he had a great campaign message. And you may have seen the short video, and you may have seen the short clip. You want to defund the police and stop the police and talk about the police. Well, the next time you need help or you're in trouble, call a crackhead. Call a crackhead. Don't sit here and and complain and talk about how uh, this issue is, but then try your hardest to undermine everything that Donald Trump stands for. We need to make a change. The black community needs to make a change. If you feel that this was a beat up session on Kamala Harris, let me be clear, it is not. It's a beat up session on the Democratic Party. It's a beat up session on them. Kamala Harris was just a pawn in their game. They talk about how the Donald Trump will end democracy and how democracy will end because of Donald Trump. You just elected someone that doesn't care about the US Constitution. He doesn't care about it whatsoever. He's going to end democracy. Look what happened on January 6th. He's going to end democracy. No, my friend. What you did this election cycle was going to end democracy. Hey, Contrell, what are you talking about? This is what I'm talking about. When Joe Biden decided to drop out of the election and he decided to not run for office, why didn't we hold a primary? You know why? Because the Democrats forgot about the real core values and issues that Americans face. Only thing they cared about was winning. That's it. They cared about one thing, winning this election. Well, I'm happy to say they lost. I hope you guys heard some great, valuable news. They lost. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, have you heard with Contrell Alford?